Welcome back to This Day. We have a really special guest here. We have legend Bob Eubanks joining us. Thank you so much.
Legend, that means you're old if you're a legend. Yeah.
Or you've had an extremely successful career.
I've had a good time for sure, but I'm coming here and I'm really excited because I found out that I'm the only living person to have produced a Beatle concert all 3 years they toured. So we put together a show called Backstage with the Beatles, and I tell seldom or never before heard stories that lead up to music. And I have a Beatle band on stage with me, and we're gonna be here, and I'm excited, on September 23.
That's right, yeah, I know. What an amazing concept of an idea. I just think this is such a stunning idea to tell the stories and tell the memories and the things that you experienced with them.
I found out the Beatles are the only group where the age starts at like 10 and goes to 90,
Yes.
It's amazing how their fans have just sustained, and they're amazing guys. Today, by the way, is the day that John Lennon and Paul McCartnney met in 1957.
No way, on this day.
Yeah.
And were they at school, or what was, how did they meet?
I think so, yeah. I'm not really sure. I didn't get that part of it, But I tell really interesting stories, and about 80% of them happened to me. But there are some really, can I tell a story?
Absolutely, please
Okay,
share.
I'm gonna tell a story. This is one of the stories that I'll be telling that evening, so here we go. Paul McCartney had a medley in his head, but he didn't have any words to it. And so he called it Scrambled Eggs. So he walked around for 2 weeks singing scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs. And he finally put the words to it. And Scrambled Eggs became one of the most recorded songs in the history of music. Scrambled Eggs became Yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that something?
Really?
Yeah.
It's just so incredible to me how musicians come up with songs, how they hear the sounds in their head, or they have maybe a poem they've written and then how they put it all together. I just find it so incredibly fascinating. Your career has been incredibly fascinating. I did not know until yesterday that you had started out as a disc jockey.
Yeah, I started out at a little bitty radio station in Oxnard, California, and I was working midnight until 8 in the morning. And I wanted to do what the big guys do. I wanted to have a rock and roll album giveaway contest. So I went to the manager and I said, I need 2 albums. He said, I'm not gonna give them to you. So I had to go buy 2 albums. And I must have mentioned it 50 times that night, next week, and I finally came up with an idea. Okay, rock and roll album giveaway time. I'll give them to the first person that calls. Nobody called. So I made up a name and I took them home. And I realized right then that I'm talking to myself. So one morning I get off the air and in my little Volkswagen, I drive to the hot news station in Southern California, KRLA. I just wanted to see what the big guys look like. And I'm sitting in the lobby, and the DJs are having a meeting, and I could tell that the all-night man had a sore back, and nobody wanted to sit in for him because they worked 3 hours and he worked 6. So I walked up to the program director, and I said, "Oh, hi there, I'm a disc jockey." He says, "Do you belong to the union?" I said, "No, but I can." And I borrowed $360, joined the union, and I went on the air that night, and I was there 7 years.
Wow, what a story. That is crazy, just to walk in the door and then make it happen.
At that radio station, by the way, we had these steps over in Pasadena at the Sheraton, and the girls used to come and sit on the steps when they wanted to meet the disc jockeys. And there was a guy who would come with his guitar and play and sing out there too. His name was Charlie Manson.
Oh boy.
So anyway, back to the Beatles.
Yes, yes. Well, and then I just wanted to touch upon that. A lot of people probably know you from the Newlywed Game or the Rose Parade. And funny enough, I actually auditioned for the Newlywed Game, my husband and I, when we first were married. Yeah.
Do you have children?
We do now, yes. We have 5 children, yeah.
Oh, well, you already knew what Whoopi was. Why wouldn't you? You don't want to be on the show. Gosh.
So what gave you the idea to bring the Beatles to America?
Well, I travel with a live game show, and I noticed that there's so many people that still enjoy the Beatles and the Beatles music. It has no age restriction at all. So I figured I could put together a one-of-a-kind show. And we've been really successful with it. Back in April, I did 5 dates for the Distinguished Speakers Organization here in Southern Cal. And it's just been really successful, and we've got great comment. And I'm very happy because it's a one-of-a-kind show. And if you enjoy the Beatles music, you're gonna love our show, because I tell seldom or never before heard stories. And like I say, about 80% of the stories happened to me during the 3 years that I did the Beatles. I mean, I have all kinds of stories that you're going to enjoy, believe me, along with the music of Ticket to Ride.
And these stories are from, so it was 1964, that was the first.
64, I did Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
Had a partner and made $4,000. They would only let me charge $7. All 3 years, $7 was the top price.
And so what would that be equivalent to today's prices?
Well, I don't know that, but all I can tell you is it was a lot of work, and I swore that I would never do another one after the 64. But then they came back to me and said, the Beatles want to play the Hollywood Bowl. I said, okay, but I won't do it unless I can have 2 nights. So I paid them $90,000 flat at the Hollywood Bowl. But I got smart. The Beatles in '64 made the radio station I was working with, KRLA, #1.
Really?
So I went to the radio station and I said, okay, let's make it KRLA and Bob Eubanks present. And I want $100,000, and I want a 5-day work week, and I want to go from $15,000 to $20,000 a year. And so the next 2 years, Dodger Stadium was incredible. I got some great stories about Dodger Stadium, but it's a fun night. So be sure and come and see us. It's called Backstage with the Beatles, and you'll love it if you like music and if you like the Beatles. I promise you that.
It sounds like a fascinating show. If I can, I'm going to try and score a ticket. I would love to come see it.
Hey, you know somebody, don't you hear?
I should. I know. I think I have connections now.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, your 5 kids can't come, but that's...
Right. So, but yeah, going back to the last concert at Dodger Stadium, I was reading that was the concert the Beatles couldn't leave the show, that all the fans were figuring out where they were. And
well, I'm not going to tell the story.
You were there that night,
but
I assume?
I will tell you, the Hells Angels were involved, and that was really scary. But it was Dodgers. It was the second to the last show they ever appeared in for money. They went to San Francisco, and that was it for money.
Did you know at that time that they were probably going to be breaking up soon?
Yes.
Like they were definitely very weary by that point?
Yeah, and you know, John had made the comment, the Beatles are more popular than Jesus, and he had to answer every question in the world. And it was really unfair to him because well, I won't say that. Never mind. Anyway, we'll talk about it, okay?
Oh my gosh. So what would you say? Oh, I know. Here's a story that you talked about that I saw on your promo tape, and it was for the Hey Jude song. How did that come about?
Yeah, when John and his wife were getting a divorce, their little son, Julian, was really hurt about it. And he was a good...
Do you remember how old he was at that point?
No, I don't remember. But he was a good friend of Paul's. And so Paul, he was going to go over to the house just to, make him feel better and everything. And on his way over, he kept singing Jules, Jules. And by the time he got to their house, he had written, Hey Jude.
And what a great song.
Yeah. Sure
And
is.
so the other neat thing of that, the whole idea of what you created, I think, is just such a great way to do this, and that you have the tribute band is there as well.
Yeah, and it's my favorite tribute band, Ticket to Ride. You'll love them. They're wonderful, and I take them everywhere I go when I can, for sure.
How did you find them?
They were local, and I had a lady working for me that was a huge Beatle fan, and she told me about them. I went to see them, and you know, they even look like the Beatles. I mean, they're really wonderful. They really are.
Well, definitely. So let's go over the dates again and the time. And it's coming up. It's September 23rd.
Yep.
7 p.m. It's going to be here in Laguna Woods Village
That's
at
right.
the PAC, the Performing Arts Center. And so tickets are $45, $35, and $30. So I assume that's depending
And by
on how
the way,
close
the
you get.
Beatles would only let me charge $7 all 3 years,
And so who decided that? The Beatles said, we don't want to make it too high for our fans, or?
Brian Epstein, their manager. You know, they loved him, but I thought he cost them several millions of dollars. First of all, they didn't have any merchandise. Okay? I mean, there are rock and roll acts that go out now and only live off the merch.
Right.
And he made a comment one time. I said, Brian, why are you charging? He said, I want everybody to save their money to buy albums. And I went, huh? You know.
Because back then, that was how you made most of the money, was on
Yeah.
the album sales,
But,
correct, right?
Yep.
Well, it definitely seems like you're going to, I feel like it's you're taking the audience on a journey.
I am.
And it's going to be quite
And
memorable.
wait till you hear what happened with the Beatles over at Elvis's house. Ooh, it's fun.
Some great stories.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. What is the most memorable or fulfilling part of your career, would you say, to this point? Because you don't seem to be retired yet.
No, I'm not. The star on the Walk of Fame was a real thing for me.
Quickly, you said the star is at the location.
Where I got fired, yes. That was a big moment for me. I don't know, I've had so many wonderful times. I have a theory in life that you take what you know and you try to apply it in other areas. And that's what I've been able to do. And I've had a great time.
Well, an amazing innovator, and it's so pleasant to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you much.
And I wish you all the success with this show. What a great idea.
And you're a good makeup person, you know that.
I've had a little experience.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Bobby.
Well, thank you.
See you on the 23rd of September. Be there, be
September
square.
23rd, that's right. Don't miss it. It's going to be a fabulous night. September 23rd at 7 p.m., the Performing Arts Center. So definitely get your tickets now. And stay with us, because we have a whole much more coming up today on this day.
Just sitting